and I know it's a lot, but that's really just to help with today's activity, or with today's, I should say, lesson. So let's go through this and remember what we always have to do. If there's more than one term on the bottom, you're most likely going to have to factor. So in this case, you have to see if anything with 27 and 18 have in common. And 27 and 18 both have a 3 in common. So we can take a 3 out of the bottom, and that would leave us with 9x plus 6. Well, but you actually can take more out because this is 3 and that would be 3. So let me check something real quick. And I don't know why I didn't think of taking 9. So that's kind of goofy. Oops. Okay, so let's take a 9 out. I'm sorry about that. You can take a 9 out, which gets you 3x plus 2. It's a bad 2. And the 27 and 9 will simplify because 27 divided by 9 is 3. So that would cancel and leave you a 3. So then you have, oops, that's a 2. Okay. You have 3 over 3x plus 2, and you cannot cancel those 3, so don't do it. Okay. On the next one, we have to factor. So we have to find the factors of 30 that give you 7. Since this last one's negative, one's negatives in the parentheses and one's positive. And the factors of 30 give you 1 and 30, 2 and 15, which won't work, 3 and 10, and that is your answer to get to 7. So it would be 10 and 3. Okay. And then on the bottom, you have the same situation where one will be negative and one will be positive because of this right here. And factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. And the only one that gets you to 5 would be 3 and 8, and it would be 8 and 3. So notice these will cancel out, leaving you with just this, so that would be your answer. Okay. I'm going to skip a little step here. I'm just not going to write it so I can not have to write as much, but we kind of have to look to see what we can factor out with these. And that won't factor out. This has nothing in common with V, and 10 have nothing in common. 3 you can't factor, but 10 and 30 have a 10 in common, so we can make it this. And if you notice, that doesn't really do anything. So then you just have to multiply left to right, and you're left with this, and you actually can't cancel anything, so that's your answer. Okay? And then, last but not least, you would have x plus 7 that you can't mess with. The 7x plus 35, you can take out the greatest common factor, which would be 7, so that leaves you with x plus 5. And then factors of 40 that get you 3. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 3 doesn't work, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. 5 and 8 would be it. So you have x minus 8 and x plus 5. The x minus 8s would cancel. The x plus 5s can cancel, but these can't, so you're left with x plus 7 over 7. Okay, so we're going to do these first two problems. Actually, you know what? We're just going to do this whole video, so it is going to be a longer video, but it's okay. So when you have this going on right here, I always say keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction, change the operation to multiplication, and flip the other fraction. Other people say just multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, but I think this will work better. So that, I think, is just easier if we make that your first step every time. So anytime you have a division symbol, keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, and flip the second fraction oops, I didn't flip it, every single time. I think that will help with some of the steps with this. Okay, so we literally just have to simplify whatever we can. And I'm going to change my marker so you can see it better. Okay, so where can we simplify? Well, let's start here and start with this fraction, and then we can go left to right. 16 and 5 won't cancel. This p would be canceled. I'll leave you with 2 of them, and there's no q. 8 and 35 have nothing in common, but the p squared go away and leave you with 3. Okay, so I'm from there just going to go ahead and just multiply everything left to right, and then go from there. Now you could cancel, I guess, hold on, I take it back. You could cancel these numbers right here. The 8 and 16, I'll go away and I'll leave you with 2. The 5 would go away and leave you with 7. And these q's actually can cancel, but I'm just not going to do that right now. So you have on the top q p to the third power, and then 2p squared, and I'm putting this all together, but I haven't put this completely together, and q squared. So the 2 and the 7 definitely have to be multiplied, but I'm just not doing that quite yet. So from there, you just can cancel whatever you have. So this has 3 p's, so that can go away, leave you with 1, and this could be gone. And these actually will simplify and leave you with 1 q, and that would be gone. So you're left with p to the first on top, so just p, and it would be 14q, and that's your answer. Okay. Now that one has our monomials. There's no addition or subtraction symbols. With these ones, you're going to have to factor. Anytime you see more than one term on the bottom or a trinomial or whatever, you're going to have to factor. So I'm going to first and foremost rewrite this where it's not dividing but it's multiplying. So I keep the first fraction. I'm going to flip the second, or change the sign and flip the second fraction. And basically from here, it's exactly what we've been doing. So it's no different than the last section. So first thing we're going to do is factor. The only thing, we can factor everything but this 10. So on the bottom, that's greatest common factor. So we can factor out a 4, and that would leave you with x minus 2. This bottom is also greatest common factor, so we can take out a 2 and an x. When you divide everything by that 2x, you get x plus 3. And then here, we're going to find the factors of 6 to get you 1, which would be 2 and 3. So it'd be x plus 3 and x minus 2. So from there, we're just going to start canceling. The x plus 3 will go away, the x minus 2 will go away, and you can either simplify here or here. I'm going to do it here because it gets get rid of that 2 completely, and then make it 5 on top. So final answer is 5 over 4x, and that's it. Okay, last two. All right, so don't let them freak you out. Again, we're going to keep the first fraction and then flip and multiply. Okay. So the bottom's going to the top, and the top is going to the bottom. And like I said, we're right back to what we were doing. And that's a 3 that looks really bad. So we're going to factor. So greatest common factor here, greatest common factor here because it's 2 terms. These are where you find the factors of the last number that add up to the middle. So they have a 2 in common, but they also have a squared in common. So we're going to take that out. So we're dividing everything by 2a squared, which leaves you with a minus 6. And then you're going to find the factors of 12 that give you 4, and that would be 6 and 2. So negative and a positive. And then factors of 15 that get you 8 would be 5 and 3. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so we have 2 negatives actually going here, and that's how you get that negative 8. And then numerically, they have an 8 in common on the bottom and a squared. So that leaves you with 3a minus, oops, that shouldn't have an a there. Get that over to that. 3 minus a. Okay, so we're going to see what we can get rid of. The a minus 6 can go away with this one. And nothing cancels with the a plus 2 or the a minus 5. We can cancel these a squareds out with each other, and the 2 can turn this into a 4. But there's actually one more thing we can cancel, and this is right here. And if we remember, if they're the opposite of each other, it cancels, but it leaves you with a negative 1. In that case, is because that's positive and that's negative. That's positive, that's negative. They're complete opposite each other, so we're going to make that a negative 1. So that leaves you with negative a minus 5 and 4a plus 2. And that's your final answer. Okay. The last one looks a little goofy, and that's kind of on purpose. So bear with me on that. I'm going to try to make a line because it's got a little messy. Okay. So what's going on is this is multiplying to here. Okay. So we're going to kind of chunk this up. And I didn't mean to make that a line tool. Oops. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. So this is really over 1. So what you're going to do with this one is we're going to group these two up and kind of do the order of operations. We'll say from left to right, you do multiplication or division. Doesn't matter which one it is. So we're going to start here, and then we'll tackle this in later. So we have x plus 3 over x. This whole thing's technically over 1, so we just flip. Okay. And then we can tack this on if we really want to. Okay, now remember I told you you can cancel up and down or across. Well, right now you only can cancel out one thing, and that's the x plus 3's. So that's gone. Now, you can factor within or you can rewrite it. I'm going to rewrite it so you have 1 over x. That 1 goes there because 1, the same thing divided by the same thing is 1, times 1 over 4x plus 1 times, and we need to factor this top. So this is no greatest common factor, but there's two terms. They're subtracting, and you can take the square root of them all. So this is a difference of perfect squares. So you say, what's the square root of 16, which is 4. Square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 1 is 1. And we put a negative symbol in addition. And I did not mean to write that. Oops. Okay. So minus 1 plus 1. You should notice these right here will cancel out, leaving you with 4x minus 1. And these ones don't matter, and these don't. So we just have the x. And no, those don't cancel. All right, that is your lesson for the day. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions on the Khan Academy. I can record myself helping you. Okay, see ya. Be safe, be healthy.